Hi, it's Future from Sewmate. Welcome to my channel. If you want to see how I make this beautiful blouse with a center front box split and some sleeve frills, please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. And make sure to turn on your notification bell so that each time I upload new videos, you get notified. You will need your basic shirt or blouse block pattern to do this. I've got a tutorial on this channel on how you can make one. I'll leave a link in the description below and the link above as well. Starting with the back, trace around your block, marking all your notches. Lift your block, square in your waistline, lengthen your blouse to your desired length. I'm adding 5 centimeters. Then I'm adding 1 centimeter for my hem allowance. Now at center back, we're going to lower our neckline by 1 centimeter and widen it by 2 centimeters. Apply those changes. Squaring a line across and square another line down at 2 centimeters. Then redraw the new neckline with a curved ruler like I'm doing here. Adding my seam allowance 1 centimeter. Now drawing in my neck facing for the back, 7 centimeters down from the added seam allowance, going round, following it through. So this part is not included anymore. Now I'm gonna go ahead and trace around my neck facing with a tracing wheel like I'm doing here. Separate the patterns. Now cut around the pattern using the tracing wheel marks that are left there. This is the center back. And labeling the pattern, back facing. Cut one on fold. And I put my initial. So center back is going to be on fold. And we're going to add one fusing on fold as well. Adding my grain line parallel to the center back. And the back facing is finished. Now we're going to bring back our main pattern. And labeling the pattern, back top, cut one on fold, and I put my initial. So the center back is going to be on fold. And adding my grain line parallel to the center back. Adding notches to the pattern. And cutting around the pattern. Now my back top is finished. Now we're moving on to the front. Make sure you leave yourself some space at center front so that we can make our box split. So first trace around the block, making sure to mark all the notches. Lift your block, square in your waistline, lengthen your block 5 centimeters like we did with the back, and adding the hem allowance 1 centimeter. Just outlining my original seam allowance for the block there. Now widen the neckline 2 centimeters and lower the neckline at center front by 13 centimeters. Square line down at the shoulder. Now with your curved ruler, just draw in a nice curve for our V neckline there. Adding my seam allowance 1 centimeter. and smoothing it out with a curved ruler. So this part is not included in our pattern anymore. And drawing in my facing for the front neckline 7 centimeters, following through the seam allowance there, and smoothing everything out with a curved ruler. Now get a fresh pattern paper, put it under your pattern, and we're going to go ahead and trace the front facing like we did with the back, using the tracing wheel like I'm doing here. Separate your patterns. So that's the center front. Cut around your pattern piece, following through the tracing wheel marks that are left there, like I'm doing here. And labeling the pattern front facing. Cut 1 on fold, plus 1 fusing on fold 2, and I put my initial. Adding my grain line parallel to the center front. And my front facing is finished. Now we're going to bring back our main pattern. I'm going to add a 5 centimeter wide box pleated center front. So I'm going to add 5 centimeters at the center front like I'm doing here. Then I'm going to divide it in half, meaning 2.5 centimeter sections. So this is 2.5 centimeters and 2.5 centimeters. So this is half of the box split, and we're going to be folding it like it would be when it's sewn. So first fold along the middle line like I'm doing here. Then fold it back on the center front line like I'm doing here as well. This is so we can get a nice shaping at center front at the neckline there. Then with your curved ruler, just finish off your V neckline there, like I'm doing here. Then we're going to cut along our pattern, cutting through this new V neckline. Cut around the rest of your pattern. Unfold your pleat, and we're going to cut along this line. So this constitutes just half of our box pleat. And now we're going to be moving our center front to the line there, and we're going to be putting it on fold, so that we'll end up with a full box pleat of 5 centimeters wide. Make sure to add a notch here. It's very important when it comes to folding it back whilst we're sewing. Adding notches to the pattern and labeling the pattern. Front top, cut 1 on fold, and I put my initial. Adding my grain line parallel to the center front. And my front pattern's finished. Now I'm moving on to the sleeve. You will need your basic shirt or blouse block sleeve pattern to do this. I'll leave a link in the description below and a link above as well. So first trace around your sleeve block, making sure to mark all your notches. Lift your block. Draw in your grain line, elbow line, and the wrist or hem line. Measure the bottom section and mark halfway, since I want this to be a 3/4 sleeve length. Square straight line. Adding a hem allowance of 1 centimeter and squaring across these sections from the elbow line down. Make sure they're squared. So cut through this line And I'm going to add another section because I'm going to have two frills, the smaller one for the top and the longer one for the bottom. Now I'm going to divide my sleeve at the bottom part here by two sections each on each side of the grain line like I'm doing here. Just mark them evenly and then draw straight lines like I'm doing here. So we'll be cutting through all these lines and spreading them by 2.5 centimeters. Cut around your sleeve. I'm going to add the joining seam allowance here, 1 centimeter. And cut around the sleeve. Adding notches to the pattern and labeling the pattern sleeve. Cut one pair and I put my initial. I'll be using the original grain line. Then the sleeve pattern is finished. Now we're moving on to making the frill. So cut around the pattern like I'm doing here. Now cut along all these lines too, but not through the top section there. Just leave them hanging by the thread because we're going to be spreading them later. Get a fresh pattern paper and draw a straight line in the middle. Bring your pattern back. So this line is going to be our grain line. So we're going to go ahead and draw two parallel lines on each side of it, which are 1.25 centimeters away. 1.25 and 1.25. Bring your pattern back and just align the grain line with the grain line that we've just drawn, and bring the edges to these lines that we've drawn like I'm doing here, and tape everything down nicely. Then draw lines 2.5 centimeters away like this from the other sections, and we're going to bring the edges to this line like I'm doing and tape everything down. Repeat the same with the last sections, 2.5 centimeters away, and bring the edges to the line and tape everything down again. You can actually spread this as much as you want. I just decided to use the minimum for me. Now with your curved ruler, just join all these bottom parts and all these other lines that I'm drawing in here. Then draw a nice curve at the top and adding a joining seam allowance of 1 centimeter at the top there. Adding notches to my pattern piece. So when it comes to cutting our fabric, we're going to cut it in two stages. First we cut a pair of the whole part, and then we cut through the middle line and then cut another pair. Now labeling the pattern, sleeve frill, cut one pair for 1 and 2, okay? 1 being the whole frill and 2 being the top section of the frill like we said. Cut around your pattern. Now my sleeve frill pattern is finished, and all my sleeve patterns are finished now. Now all our patterns are finished for the blouse. Now moving on to sewing. Now moving on to sewing our top, what you need are your completed patterns, your fabric and your cutting tools. So for the fabric, I'm using this printed chiffon fabric. Now let's move on to cutting. Now all our pattern pieces are cut and ready to sew. So the first thing we're going to do is to get both your facing pieces for the back and front and just go ahead and interface them. I've done that already with mine. So first, lay them down on the table, right sides facing and matching the shoulder seams, and pin along the shoulders. So we'll take them to the sewing machine and sew along the shoulder seams. When we finish that, we're going to go ahead and overlock right around the bottom edge. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on the side for now. Get your sleeve frill pieces and we're going to go ahead and give them all a double turned hem of 5 millimeters, okay, for all 4 pieces. And I'm gonna put this on the side as well. Now grab your front top piece and we're going to go ahead and fold our box split here for the center front nicely and pin it down using the notches that are there. Then take this to the sewing machine as well and just stitch the box split down nicely here within your seam allowance. I'll be using 5 millimeters. Let's go and do that. Okay, now so that's done, and I also went ahead and ironed down my box split nicely at the center front here. So now I'm gonna lay my top with the right side facing up, get the back top piece, lay it on top of it with the right side facing down. And we're going to go ahead and match the shoulder seams and pin them down. So we'll take this to the sewing machine and sew along the shoulder seams here and overlock them. Let's go and do that. Now get your 2 pairs of sleeve frill pieces and lay them one on top of the other like I've done here with the small piece on top with the right side facing up for both. Then get your 2 sleeve pieces and we're going to go ahead and lay them down on top of the 2 and we're going to pin along this seam for both. Make sure you've got all the 3 layers together. Now we'll take this to the sewing machine as well and sew along this seam and overlock it for both. Okay, let's go and do that. Now with your top right side facing up like this, get your facing piece, lay it on top of it with the right side facing down, matching the side seams and pin along. So we'll take this to the sewing machine and sew along the neckline. Okay, now whilst we're there, we're also going to finish off our sleeves. Now get your sleeve pieces and make sure you've got the right sleeve for the armhole. Lay them on the table with the right side facing down and match them along the armhole and pin everything down. Now we'll take this to the sewing machine and sew along the armholes and overlock them. And whilst we're there, so make sure to clip along your neckline, and then we're going to go ahead and understitch it. Let's go and do all those stages. Okay, so we finished sewing the neckline and I went ahead and understitched it as well. So the last thing is to go ahead and do a ditch stitch on the shoulders here, making sure to catch the facing at the back here, okay, so that everything lays down nicely for both sides. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and turn our top on itself like this, right sides facing, making sure that we're matching our side seams from the hem of the top to the sleeve hems, and we're going to pin along the side seams for both sides. Now we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew along the side seams from the hem of the top to the sleeve hem. Okay, when we finish, we're going to go ahead and hem our top. So we're just going to do a double turned hem of 5 millimeters width. Okay, let's go and do all that now. Okay, now so I finished sewing on the hem of my top, and my top is finished, and I'm happy with the result. Thank you.